Hey, what's going on everybody? It's ETAPRIME back here again. Today we're going to be taking a first look at the all-new Lenovo Legion GO. This is a brand new handheld coming to the market. Release date is set for October 31st, but I was able to get my hands on one a little early just to give you a kind of a first look. And before we dive into it, I do want to mention that this is an earlier unit that I have in my possession. This is kind of a testing unit along with the software itself. So things will be kind of ironed out down the road. But so far, I personally haven't run into any issues with it. Everything's been working really well, but this is one I've been really excited about. I know a lot of you have also, mainly because of the price, size, and features that the GO has built in. We've actually got some really cool stuff here that we haven't seen in other handhelds. And it's packing a very capable CPU, or APU rather, because we've got the AMD Ryzen Z1 Extreme. And along with that, we've got a big, beautiful 8.8-inch display. This is the Lenovo's Pure Sight display, 144 Hz with a resolution of 2560 by 1600. Overall, first impressions, really like the look of it, and it's very, very comfortable to hang on to. I was actually a little worried with a larger handheld like this that, they wouldn't get the ergonomics right. But with the way they've designed these detachable controllers, it sits perfectly in the hand. Now, obviously, we are working with a much larger handheld than others on the market, but we've got a lot of great stuff built in here, like a trackpad over on the right-hand side. And I'd say one of the main claim to fames to the GO is the detachable controllers, and we're going to be taking a look at those. We'll also be testing them out. But real quick, I wanted to give you a look at everything that comes in the box. So obviously, we've got the Legion GO handheld itself, a 65-watt fast charger, USB Type-C, and this little circle doohickey actually goes with the right-hand detachable controller for FPS mode. Basically, it's going to turn that right-hand controller into a mouse and make it really easy to play your favorite FPS games. The GO also comes with a built-in kickstand, which comes in real handy for setting this up on the desk. But when it comes to the built-in controls, over here on the left-hand side, we've got our analog stick, D-pad, start, select, and our dedicated Legion button. We'll take a look at what that does in just a second, but the analog sticks here are Hall-based, and as you can see, they do have some RGB around them. Over on the right-hand side, A, B, X, Y, we've got our other analog stick and a built-in trackpad. Up top, we've got our shoulder buttons and our linear triggers, power button, and our volume buttons. Now, when it comes to I/O, as you can see, we've got a 3.5mm audio jack, micro SD card reader, and this is good up to a 2 terabyte card, and one USB 4 port over here. It is 40 gig protocol, so you can easily connect an eGPU. And moving around to the bottom, we've got another full function USB 4 port. Now, when it comes to the specs of the Legion GO, like I mentioned, for that APU, we've got the AMD Ryzen Z1 Extreme. These cores are based on Zen 4. We've got 8 cores, 16 threads, a base clock of 3.3 GHz, and a boost up to 5.1. Built-in Radeon RDNA 3 iGPU with 12 CUs, 16 gigabytes of LPDDR5X running at 7500 megatransfers per second. Right now, they are offering 2 different storage variants of the GO. You can pick this up with either a 512 gigabyte M.2 or a 1 terabyte, but both of them are using a PCIe 4.0 NVMe M.2 SSD, micro SD card slot that supports up to a 2 terabyte card, a 144 Hz 8.8-inch 16x10 Lenovo Pure Sight QHD Plus display. It's got a resolution of 2560 by 1600, 97% DCI-P3, up to 500 nits of brightness. Wi-Fi 6E 2x2, Bluetooth 5.2, a 49.2 watt-hour battery, and this is running Windows 11 Home right out of the box. So I've got a lot that I want to go over in this video, but unfortunately, since we're on an early unit, I can't show off any benchmarks or FPS while we're playing games. I will have another video coming up after the 31st with all of that information, so definitely stay tuned, but this will give you a good idea of what this thing can do. Okay, so first things first, a lot of people have been talking about the detachable controllers on the Legion GO. Now, getting them off is pretty easy. We've got these little lock mechanisms around back, just put a little pressure on them, we're going to pull them off. Now, these are automatically going to reconnect to the Legion GO, and we can use them wirelessly just like this if we want to. But taking a look at the right-hand controller, we've got a scroll wheel right here. We've got a few extra buttons, M1, M2, and on the bottom, you'll see we've got a little optical sensor with a switch. We're going to put this in FPS mode. We'll grab the FPS dock. By the way, this magnetically attaches to the controller, and now we can use the right-hand joystick or the right-hand controller as a mouse. It's got that built-in scroll wheel. We've got that M1 and M2 button, so mouse 1, mouse 2, left click, right click, whatever you want to call it. And while this is setting up on the desk with the built-in stand, it makes it really easy to play your favorite first-person shooter games. We will be running a test on this in just a little while, but I want to give you a look at some of the built-in software here because Lenovo has actually done a really good job with what they have so far. And we're actually talking about Legion Space. So we do have a dedicated button up in the top left-hand corner here. Press that anytime, it'll bring up Legion Space. And from here, we've got our library, we've got a game store, cloud gaming, settings, Android games. But we're going to start off here from settings. And at the top, we've got general. From here, it'll give us a version of Legion Space. We can set up a 24-hour clock. Next up, performance, thermal mode, couple presets to choose from. OS power mode. From here, we can actually go up to 30 watts. Set the fan to full speed. Turn on Radeon Super Resolution from here. Down the list, network, Bluetooth, display, voice. This does have dual microphones built in, so you can voice chat while you're gaming. We can totally customize the built-in controls from here. We can set the dead zones, vibration intensity. Basically, if you want to customize your button layout, you can do it from Legion Space. And again, I do want to mention this is early software, so things may change. I know we'll have some additions in the future to this. Moving down to customize, from here we can change the RGB around the analog sticks there. We can basically change it to any color. There are a few presets built in. We can also change the brightness. Disk space, screenshots. We can also change our download location. And from the main menu, you might have noticed we've got Android games. Basically, this is going to open up the Microsoft Store. We can download the Amazon App Store right here, so we can play Android games directly on this device. And one thing we actually haven't seen in software on these handhelds yet is a built-in game store. So I do think that this is a pretty good idea here. Now, this is totally optional. You don't have to buy your games directly from here, but there is the option to do so, and we'll get discounts and things like that through Legion Space. Some people might not be into this, but I think it's a good idea. That way, the manufacturer can actually subsidize the price of the handheld up front, knowing that you might buy some games from here. And obviously, that's how Valve was able to sell their handheld for so cheap up front, because they've got a lot of software to sell you, and they can make extra money. Game platforms, this just allows us to easily download these platforms. We've got Steam, Epic Games, Xbox, a couple others added in here. And finally, we've got our library for our installed games. At the time of making this video, I haven't found a way to change the box art here, but I'm sure that'll be added down the road. I mean, they're definitely going to be working on Legion Space, adding new features as they're kind of requested and the community gets their hands on these. But yeah, really glad to have some type of software in here for kind of full customization of the handheld. Plus, we've got a game launcher. We can start our games directly from here. Or, if you just want to use the desktop interface for Windows, you can always do that. Now, obviously, we've got a gaming handheld here, and I want to get into that. The first thing I wanted to show off was FPS mode. Okay, so we saw how these detach from the console. We've got that magnetic FPS adapter. Just goes right there on the desk. Initially, seeing this online, I thought it was a cool idea. I didn't know how much I'd use it until I used it. Took me a couple minutes to get used to it, but I've tested it out with a few games. Borderlands 3, Cyberpunk 2077, and here we have Doom Eternal. This works way better than I thought it would, and it's really fun to use. Now, I could definitely see myself connecting this to a larger display, but of course we've got a big 8.8-inch display here, which is kind of plenty just setting it up on the desk here in FPS mode. Initially, thought it was kind of gimmicky, but I'm getting used to it and I really do enjoy it. I think it's a big departure from what other handheld manufacturers are doing, and I think it's a really cool idea. A lot of people might really enjoy using FPS mode here with the Legion GO. Okay, so we saw the overall Legion Space interface, but over here on the right-hand side, we've got another button. In-game, we can press this anytime. This is going to bring up our quick settings. We can change the volume, brightness, resolution, our performance mode, fans. We can change the RGB. It's also got a built-in status menu with a lot of useful information. And again, this can be brought up at any time, but we've got another little section here. Pressing the button twice will bring up our smaller Legion Space over on the left-hand side. Give us what's running in the background. We can start up a different application directly from here. Manage our downloads. We can go into our full settings inside of Legion Space from here. So yeah, this also comes in really handy. But on screen right now, we've got Forza Horizon 5. I'm at 1200p medium settings. We're in performance mode. And like I mentioned with this early video, I can't show you what FPS this is running at, but I can tell you it's well over 60. Now we've got these linear triggers around back, and they're awesome for racing games. Full control over the gas and brake. Really love this for drifting and especially launch control in games like Forza Horizon or Forza Motorsports. After the 31st of October, I can release benchmarks and everything like that. But yeah, I mean, performance is really good here with this Ryzen Z1 Extreme. We've seen this chip before, we know what kind of performance it can put out, but we do have much faster RAM here, coming in at 7,500 megatransfers per second. And I've noticed a pretty nice little jump in performance having that faster RAM. Next up, I wanted to show you a little Cyberpunk 2077 performance here, and we are at 1200p. I love the built-in controls here. Analog sticks feel great, triggers around back are really nice. We've got full control from Legion Space, but one thing that kind of threw me off was the D-pad here. It's not using a conductive pad, it's using dome switches, and I really wanted to see how it was with fighting games. So next up, we've got Street Fighter 6, just to kind of test out this D-pad. Personally, I don't have anything against D-pads that use dome switches. There's actually some really good ones out there. I just prefer having a conductive pad. I'm just used to it. It feels a little better to me. This one here does feel a bit stiff because there's not a lot of give to it. Those dome switches they used aren't very tall, I'm guessing, but I can pull these moves off. Would have been nice to have a little more roll to it, but yeah, I mean, it is a usable D-pad. It's not bad at all. And again, I don't have anything against these with the dome switches. One of my favorites is actually the PS Vita, but you can see right here, not a lot of give to the D-pad itself. Lenovo states that the detachable controllers connect to the device over Bluetooth. So what I've done here is disable Bluetooth because I had one of my good buddies asking me if it was a separate chip or if we're going to use, the Bluetooth that's built in here. And it looks like it's connecting to a separate chip because I've got the main Bluetooth that we would use for Windows, let's say connecting a Bluetooth speaker or a mouse to it, disconnected or turned off right now, and the controllers still connect to the Legion GO. So it does look like they're using a separate chip here to keep connection to the detachable controllers. So first impressions, this is definitely a solid handheld gaming PC. We've got that much larger screen than most of the other ones on the market right now, coming in at 8.8 inches. Solid controls, really do like the way this thing feels in the hand. It's definitely a bit heavier than some of the others, but if you're looking for a bigger handheld, then this one might be for you. FPS mode is really fun. Some people might not be into it, but you really got to give it a try if you get your hands on one of these. I wasn't sure how it would turn out, but it's actually really fun to use. These are up for pre-order right now, and I will have more videos coming. We're going to be doing a lot of testing. I'll release some benchmarks. We'll take a look at a bunch of games running. So in the meantime, if there's anything you want to know about the Legion GO, let me know in the comments below, and I'll put it in my full review video. Different games you want to see running, emulators, different performance modes, let me know down below, and I'll throw it in that one. But that's going to wrap it up for my first look video at the Lenovo Legion GO. It is definitely a solid handheld, and if you're looking for a bigger screen device, then this is one to definitely think about. Now, I'll leave some links down below if you're interested in learning a little more, maybe pre-ordering it. But that's it for this one. Like always, thanks for watching.